flagship to the Pacific Squadron. Upon the outbreak of the Spanish-American War, she was quickly made ready and ordered to Guam to take the island. Firing a single shot at the Spanish fort upon entering the harbor led to the surrender of the garrison the following day. She then followed Admiral Dewey into Manila Bay, which brought about the surrender of the Spanish. Launched in 1904, the third USS Charleston, a protected cruiser, served in the First World War, escorting convoys carrying the first troops of the American Expeditionary Force to France, defending against German U-boat patrolled waters. She made 5 such voyages to France, carrying occupation troops overseas and returning with combat veterans. The most decorated of the eventual 6 ships, the 4th USS Charleston, a patrol gunboat, was launched in 1936 and served victoriously in the Second World War, receiving a battle star and campaign medals for her patrols off the coast of Alaska and Southeast Asia, defending against the Japanese. USS Charleston, the 5th ship to be named after the Holy City, an amphibious cargo ship, was launched in 1967. She served in the Vietnam War, where she earned numerous awards and campaign ribbons for her service. We are honored to have many of her crew with us today. Would our shipmates from LKA 113 and all veterans please stand to be recognized? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your service to our great nation. The great ship before you was christened in Mobile, Alabama on August 26, 2017. And today she is complete. And this crew is proud to serve on the newest warship in the United States Navy. Our crew is dedicated to carrying out the courageous legacy handed down to us by the previous ships who proudly bore the name Charleston. Our ceremony today is a time-honored tradition which began with the commissioning of our first warship, a captured British schooner, the Margaretta, in 1775. And since then, thousands of ships have undergone the transformation from silent hulls to fully alive warships. Our commissioning crew, hereafter known as plank owners, are in formation among you today and are ready to bring our ship to life. In just a few moments, the United States Fleet Forces Band and Naval Station Norfolk Saluting Battery will render honors to the Honorable Tim Scott. Will the guests please rise and remain standing for the arrival of our official party? Honors, the presentation of colors, the national anthem, and the invocation. Ladies and gentlemen, our platform guests, Lieutenant Commander Scott Shields, Chaplain Corps, United States Navy, Command Chaplain, Littoral Combat Ship Squadron 1. Commander Christopher Addington, United States Navy, Littoral Combat Ships Program Managers, Representative, Supervisor of Shipbuilding, Gulf Coast. Captain Pat Caveney, United States Navy, retired, Chairman, USS Charleston Commissioning Committee. Captain Michael Taylor, United States Navy, Program Manager, Littoral Combat Ships. Captain Matthew McGonigal, United States Navy, Commander, Littoral Combat Ship Squadron 1. Mr. Timothy McHugh, Vice President, LCS Programs, Austal, USA. Rear Admiral Jesse Wilson, Jr., United States Navy, Commander, Naval Surface Force, Atlantic. Rear Admiral John Negley, United States Navy, Program Executive Officer for Unmanned and Small Combatants. The Honorable Joseph P. Riley, Jr., former Mayor, City of Charleston. The Honorable John Tecklenburg, Mayor, City of Charleston. Admiral James G. Fogle III, United States Navy, Commander, Allied Joint Forces Command, Naples, Commander, United States Naval Forces, Europe, Commander, United States Naval Forces, Africa. The Honorable Richard V. Spencer, Secretary of the Navy. The Honorable Joe Cunningham, United States Representative, State of South Carolina, 1st District. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Charlotte Riley, our ship sponsor, escorted today by Command Master Chief Weber Roberts. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Tim Scott, United States Senator, State of South Carolina, escorted today by Commander Christopher Brusca, United States Navy, Charleston's prospective commanding officer. Ladies and gentlemen, honors to the Honorable Tim Scott. Platform, hand salute. Platform, ready, 2. Advance the colors. Platform, hand salute. Retire the colors. Platform. Ready? 2. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Shields will deliver the invocation.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, let us pray. Eternal Father, in whom we live and move and have our being, those of us who live in the holy city of Charleston, those of us who have traveled near and far, and those friends and family who are watching from home to share in the joy and excitement of this day, we all welcome you today as our most honored guest. Lord, thank you for this momentous day and this good weather. As USS Charleston is commissioned today in the world's finest Navy and joins the growing fleet of littoral combat ships, we are grateful for each and every person who has invested much into our planning, construction, and operation. Grant them all a great sense of accomplishment and pride this day. Hallow the legacy of this amazing warship, and grant that all citizens of Charleston, South Carolina, will be properly honored in courts throughout the world by the outstanding service of USS Charleston and the professionalism, skill, and excellence of her captain, officers, and crew in the execution of every mission they are given. Gracious Lord, we celebrate this joyous day with a deep sense of awe and gratitude for your presence with us, and for the dedication and sacrifice of these sailors and their families, and for everyone who has worked so hard to bring this ship to life today. We now ask your blessing upon this ceremony of naval tradition, upon USS Charleston, the great city of Charleston, and upon all who are here to witness this great celebration this day. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Shields. We would like to thank the United States Fleet Forces Band, the Joint Base Charleston Color Guard, and the Naval Station Norfolk Saluting Battery for their support this morning. Will the guests please be seated? Ship's Company, parade, rest. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable John Tecklenburg.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Secretary Spencer, Senator Scott, Representative Cunningham, servicemen and women, family and friends of the crew, distinguished guests, my fellow Charlestonians. It is a very great honor to welcome you here today to commission the USS Charleston into the United States Navy, a potent symbol of our nation's continuing commitment to human freedom and decency around the world, and the 6th American fighting ship to carry the storied name of Charleston. In 1798, our very first namesake ship, a row galley, was commissioned and used to defend South Carolina's coast during the Quasi-War with France. The most decorated of these ships to date was the 4th USS Charleston, PG-51, a patrol gunboat launched in 1936 who valiantly served in World War II, receiving a battle star and numerous other commendations. The sea is history. The sea is history, the poet Derek Walcott tells us. And nowhere will you find a people who understand the truth of those words more fully than the people of Charleston. For since our founding almost 350 years ago, the sea has been the very lifeblood of our city's economy and culture. But Charleston's historic relationship with the sea hasn't simply been about commerce. Since the Revolutionary War Battle of Sullivan's Island, right out in the harbor in June of 1776, Charleston sustained a robust naval legacy as well. In fact, it was that very battle, that an unlikely victory in those desperate hours by a ragtag band of patriots against King George's finest naval forces. We believe that victory here in Charleston in June of 1776 helped to inspire the Continental Congress in Philadelphia to declare our nation's independence just a few weeks later. We can see that same spirit of independence and liberty here today, right before us. We can see it in the simple dream of freedom that this amazing ship will soon represent to men and women all over the world. We can see it in the enduring democratic ideals that this ship will help protect here at home. And perhaps most of all, we can see it in the hearts of the sailors, of the crew of this ship, as they will bear across the seas, as they stand watch for life and liberty at home and abroad in the years ahead. As a native Charlestonian, I'm proud of our city's deep connection to the sea and those who sail it. As mayor, I'm honored to serve a city that shares such a long and rich history with the United States Navy. And as an American, I'm moved by the courageous men and women who carry our nation's values around the world on ships like these, sacrificing so much to keep us safe here at home. So to all those who've gathered here today for this remarkable ceremony, welcome. And to the men and women of the USS Charleston, we are honored to have you with us. On behalf of all the citizens of Charleston, I wish you Godspeed and calm waters in the days ahead. God bless you. God bless this holy city, the USS Charleston, and these United States of America. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor Tecklenburg. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Timothy McHugh.
Good morning, everybody. Mr. Riley, Senator Scott, Representative Cunningham, Secretary Spencer, Admiral Fogo, Mayor Tecklenburg, Admirals Negley and Wilson, Commander Brusca, and the crew of the Charleston distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Tim McHugh. I'm the Vice President of the LCS program at Austal. On behalf of my boss, Craig Percivalli, I have the privilege today of representing the LCS industry team, a group of about 4,000 shipbuilding professionals that spent 3 years building the ship behind you, representing General Dynamics Mission Systems. General Electric was here today, as well as 700 other suppliers spread through 40 states. Some of them are represented here today. Harley Coombs, Scott Bozeman, and Joey Simmons are here from Austal and from General Dynamics Mission Systems. Again, they represent the team that built Charleston 600 miles west of here in Mobile, Alabama. That is one of the best in the country. We build 2 of these ships a year, on time and on cost. Charleston is a high-speed aluminum multi-hull small surface combatant that some of you may get a chance to tour today. And as my boss always says, one of the coolest ships on the planet. With a propulsive power to travel at over 40 knots, this ship indeed has a need for speed. The Independence-class LCS, or littoral combatant ship, has an unprecedented balance of arrangeable space, speed, flexibility, and firepower to meet the needs of the Navy today while having the margins and modularity to adapt to the ever-changing requirements of the Navy for tomorrow. On a side note, I deployed almost 30 years ago on the USS Nashville with several of my compadres from LKA 113, the Chuck E. Cheese. Can I get a shout out to the guys from 113? We were warned that the rowdy crowd would be in the back there, so we did a med cruise, amphibious ready group, moving across the Med at about 15 knots, assaulting Saros Bay, Turkey, Brindisi, Italy. This ship would do donuts around us at 40 knots, so a little bit of a perspective. So, Senator Scott, thank you for your continued support, especially for the shipbuilding on the Senate Armed Service Committee. Congressman Cunningham, this is a great and exciting day for Charleston. How often is it you get a chance to name, commission a Navy ship representing your district and put into commission in your district? We've done the USS Jackson in Gulfport, Mississippi. Yeah. We've done the Omaha in San Diego. We've done the Manchester in Portsmouth. We did the Tulsa in San Francisco about 2 weeks ago. But today, we do the Charleston in Charleston. Secretary Spencer, thank you for your confidence in the Austal team, providing us a continued opportunity to build these great ships. We were awarded 4 more last year, so we'll keep the party going. Building the fleet the Navy needs is an obligation we take very seriously, knowing the vital role we play in strengthening the fleet. Admiral Negley, Captain Taylor, Commander Addington, thank you to you and your team for the leadership and support you provide. Shipbuilding, as I've always said, is a full-contact sport, not for the faint of heart. Without your help, without your professional shipbuilders down in Mobile, we couldn't have had the success we've had in the last couple of years. So we appreciate what you guys do every day. Commander Brusca, we've built you a great ship, one that will serve you and your crew well. It's now time for you to take her to the tip of the spear in defense of our freedom. The industry team will continue to support the Charleston as she transmits the Panama Canal and joins her sister ships in San Diego. We'll also commit to meeting you overseas when you deploy. So we thank you and your crew for your service. We wish you fair winds and following seas, knowing that we will be there to provide support wherever those winds may take you. Ladies and gentlemen, as a shipbuilder, this is about as good as it gets, right? 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears to be able to take the ship to a great city like Charleston, have a great sponsor like Charlotte Riley, brought to life by the greatest sailors in our world. Today is a pretty good day. So God bless you all. God bless the United States of America, and God bless the U.S. Navy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McHugh. Ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral John Negley.
Well, good morning, Charleston. What a great Navy day. I can't imagine being any place else in the Navy today than right here at Charleston with this great ship and this great city. Senator Scott, Congressman Cunningham, Secretary Spencer, Mayor Tecklenburg, Admiral Fogo, Mr. Riley, distinguished guests and friends of LCS, thank you for coming to the ceremony this morning. Welcome to the commissioning of USS Charleston, the 9th Independence variant ship built by Austal, and the 5th or 6th ship of the U.S. Navy to bear the historic city's name. As you've heard, Charleston really has a rich history with our Navy that extends from the age of sail into the nuclear age. Established in 1901, U.S. arrived on the world stage following the Spanish-American War. The Charleston Naval Shipyard specialized in the construction of destroyers, gunboats throughout World War II. Warships whose mission is not all that different than the littoral combat ship you see here before you today. As the Navy transitioned to nuclear-powered submarines during the Cold War, Charleston emerged as a critical repair yard for Polaris submarines and important missile assembly complex, an impressive legacy demonstrating continual transformation from steam to atoms. More than ever, we are reminded here today that indeed we are a maritime nation. Shipbuilding is in our nation's blood. From the first 6 frigates constructed in 6 separate shipyards across the eastern seaboard to the construction of the magnificent ship USS Charleston in this great city, shipbuilding and our Navy are inextricably linked to our freedom, liberty, independence, and the ideals we hold so dear. Moored here today, USS Charleston represents the very best in American shipbuilding. Built with high-strength aluminum, open modular architecture to rapidly change out missions, sophisticated water jet engines to propel the ship at speeds greater than 40 knots, and a very shallow draft that allows us access to the world's oceans. She is a lethal ship. USS Charleston will operate forward in congested littoral waters, engaging with our partners across the world, exercising critical sea control missions across the globe, and forging new frontiers. And if called upon, she'll be ready to fight and win. She is the right ship at the right time for the Navy the nation needs. Commander Brusca, as you set sail in a few short days, know that you will always sail with the dedicated men and women who tirelessly constructed this great ship. Their pride, professionalism, and personal sacrifice is in every stringer, weld, and aluminum plate. To quote one of our most famous naval heroes, "I wish to have no connection with any ship that does not sail fast, for I intend to go in harm's way." Captain, the Navy Austal Shipbuilding Team has delivered you just that. Thank you, and God bless USS Charleston, her crew, and God bless America.
Thank you, Admiral Negley. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral James G. Fogo III.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Spencer, Senator Scott, Mr. and Mrs. Charlotte Riley, Mayor Tecklenburg, ladies and gentlemen, admirals, veterans, and old friends, Admiral and Mrs. Donald, Secretary Ball, and Dr. and Mrs. Leff. It is great to be back in this beautiful month of March in charming Charleston, South Carolina, one of my favorite Navy home ports. You see, Cindy and I had the pleasure of serving here 3 times. USS Sea Devil, 1983 to 1986. USS Mariano G. Vallejo, 1990 to 1993. And USS Narwhal, SSN 671 from 1994 to 1995. There was nothing like driving back to this port after a prolonged period at sea, seeing the palm trees of the battery, smelling the jasmine flowers, and kissing our sweethearts on the pier. My wife Cindy remembers that. In fact, our daughter Emily was born here at St. Francis. She's now a banker up in Buffalo, New York, and we talked to her a couple of days ago, and she's very envious. With 31-degree Fahrenheit weather in Buffalo, she would much rather be down here in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, much has changed, and not much has changed since we left. We know that Mayor Joe Riley is now retired after 40 years of service in public office here. Thank you very much. In our first house in Drayton-on-the-Ashley, we were a stone's throw away from the first home of Chief Reuben Greenberg before he moved down here, and these 2 gentlemen took care of us through trials and tribulations like Hurricane Hugo. But this is not Mayor Riley's day. This is Charlotte's day, and I'm delighted that the United States Navy has an opportunity to honor her for all of her service as the sponsor of this great warship today. Thank you very much. I met Mayor Tecklenburg for the first time last night, and he's been in office doing a great job for 4 years, sir. Only 36 more to go. There you are. Well, today we're commissioning the USS Charleston, but the legacy of a U.S. Navy ship with the city's namesake is almost as old as our nation itself. In 1794, Congress authorized the construction and commissioning of the 6 frigates. Admiral Negley mentioned that. That was the Naval Act of 1794. It was the Navy the nation needed at the time for economic survival. And ladies and gentlemen, since then, the Navy has always been relevant to our national security. Now, you heard about the 5 previous vessels named Charleston, so I will not go into those, but the C-2, the C-22, the PG-51, LKA-113, and it's a great honor to have those veterans here with us today. My hat is off, and I salute you for your service, gentlemen. Thank you very much. But now LCS-18 represents the 6th vessel to bear the name of this great city. It's the most flexible, modern, and literal ship in the arsenal of the Joint Force. And ladies and gentlemen, I might be a submariner, but as the former 6th Fleet Commander and now the Commander of Naval Forces Europe and Africa, I can tell you honestly that I love the littoral combat ship. And Admiral Wilson, I want you to tell Admiral Grady that I said that before this crowd of 6,000 here today. I love the littoral combat ship, and let me tell you why. This past October and November, I had the pleasure of commanding one of the largest exercises since the end of the Cold War in Europe. It's called Trident Juncture. We had 50,000 soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, 70 ships, 250 high-performance aircraft. We delivered 7 brigades ashore in Norway to push back an adversary which, in an exercise scenario, shall go unnamed, but that country's first letter begins with a capital R, and you know who I'm talking about. Now, those 50,000 soldiers, sailors, and airmen and Marines were represented by the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force, 8,500 Marines, USS Harry S. Truman Carrier Strike Group, 5,500 soldiers and sailors on board that vessel as we conducted air operations in what we call an archipelago off Norway. That's a bunch of rocks and shoals and islands. It's a very difficult place to operate and navigate. You still have to protect the troops and the Marines while they're going ashore into the fjords. It is the epitome of littoral warfare. And littoral is the first word of the title of this ship, the littoral combat ship. So we need more like her. And Mr. Secretary, thank you for delivering 355 ships to the United States Navy, sir. Now, like the Charleston of 2 centuries ago, LCS-18 will work with allies and partners, all of my friends in Europe, and allow maritime trade to be conducted safely and for economies to prosper. The crew of USS Charleston and the nation, we're counting on you guys and gals out there. Now, in 1991, arguably one of the greatest chiefs of naval operations in the 20th century, Admiral Arleigh Burke, had retired, and he commissioned his namesake, the USS Arleigh Burke, DDG-51. And he had a message to the crew of that ship. He said in his speech, "This ship was built to fight. You'd better know how." Now, in times of triumph and turbulence, rough seas or calm, the U.S. Navy is operating all over the world, protecting our homeland from attack and safeguarding our economic prosperity. So as we now commission USS Charleston, my charge to her crew is this ship was made to defend America. Take care of her so you, in turn, can take care of all of us. As ever, U.S. naval presence is the foundation to the security strategy of the United States and her allies. The U.S. Navy helps maintain freedom of navigation for a peaceful, connected, and prosperous world. With the newest USS Charleston, I have no doubt the U.S. Navy will continue to safeguard the United States of America, our allies, 24/7, 365, and all around the compass rose, 360 degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention, and God bless.
Thank you, Admiral Fogo. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Joe Cunningham.
First of all, I want to thank the Navy for having me here today, especially among such a distinguished group of speakers. We are here today to commend the men and women who will be serving so bravely on this ship, and may God bless each and every one of you. It is great to see all of your young faces out there. I must say how proud we are as Charlestonians to have a ship named after our city in the fleet again. Charleston has such a special bond with and dependence on the sea. And as we know, this is the 6th ship to be named after the Holy City. And the USS Charleston has a storied history that goes all the way back to 1798, where the first USS Charleston bravely defended South Carolina's coast during the quasi-war with France. The second USS Charleston received the surrender of Guam during the Spanish-American War. Since then, other USS Charlestons have served in World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War. And now, we have the 6th USS Charleston, a part of a new wave of naval technology that's fast, maneuverable, and agile. I cannot say enough how proud we are. And I want to speak directly to the crew for a moment. I want you to know that every single step of the way, as you protect America from attack, as you promote American prosperity, and preserve our strategic influence, the people here at Charleston will be with you every single step of the way. And with that, I wish you all fair winds and following seas. Thank you so much, and God bless these United States of America.
Thank you, Representative Cunningham. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Richard V. Spencer.
Good morning, Charleston. A few hellos. Charlotte Riley, the most important person of today, our ship's sponsor. Senator Tim Scott, who I had the pleasure to work beside the last couple of years. Congressman Joe Cunningham. The Honorable Will Ball, who has given me steerage as a former Secretary of the Navy as I stepped off on this job. Admiral Fogo, welcome. Good to see you back here in Charleston. Mayor Tecklenburg, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to pause for a minute, though, and tell you all something. I want to say a hearty hello to Admiral John Negley, who has had his hand on this program for the last 10 years and will be moving on. This is his final ship. Admiral Negley, blue skies, following seas. Commander Ruska, people say that I have the best job in the United States government as the Secretary of the Navy. I think you are about to step into the best job in the world, commanding this ship. And to the person who keeps the ship running, the backbone of the ship, Command Master Chief Roberts. Raise your hand, please, so the crowd knows where you are. I would be remiss, ladies and gentlemen, if I did not take a moment to give a loud shout-out to our sister sea service, who is continually on the ocean much like us. For those of you on active duty today and those of you who have served in the United States Coast Guard, please give yourself a round of applause. I had my 45-minute speech all mapped out for me. But I knew we were coming to Charleston, and this overcast might not last, and it might become a regular Charleston day, and I wouldn't put through the pain of sitting in the sunshine that long. Last fall, the fall of 17, Polly and I stepped the mast for the USS Charleston down in Mobile, and Charlotte Riley cracked the traditional bottle of champagne across this warship. Last 18 months ago, you had a different Navy. We had some troubles in the Pacific, as you are all aware. We have come a long way. We were 16 years at war. We'd sailed the bottoms off of ships and we'd flown the wings off of planes doing our job as the United States Navy protecting this country. Now, I can tell you with a hearty thanks of the United States Congress, we have gotten the funding we need to restore readiness and build the foundation to go forward. We are now facing a different era. We're facing the era of great competition. It is this era that we face now that we must be ready. The competition is full on. No matter what you read in the newspapers, though, ladies and gentlemen, I want to represent to you right now that we're holding the gap and getting ready to increase the gap because of the funding we've received and the commitment of the men and women of the United States Navy. We're recruiting the best. We're getting the best of the cream of the crop. We are retaining the best by providing education and challenging careers. We've brought industry together as a partner to solve problems, to move us forward. And we're changing the way we deliver equipment to our fleet so it is ready, relevant, and there when they need it. But we have just begun. And the USS Charleston, as you see behind it, is an ingredient of this enterprise that I am humbled and honored to serve, called the United States Navy. And this system is delivering to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Navy the nation needs. For those of you who might hear the sirens daily saying that the United States government process is broken, avert your eyes to this man of war behind me, please. This is what cooperation and production is all about. This is what's going on in your Armed Services Committee and your government, United States Navy and industry, and we should be proud of it. While I'm addressing cooperation and production, it's an easy segue to Senator Tim Scott. He and I met 18 months ago when you first came on the committee. We shared lunch together. And it was right there I realized here we have a businessman who understands how commerce works. A terrific representative for you. He gets it. I'm sad to say he's no longer on the Senate Armed Service Committee, but he's sweetly in a spot that he understands so well with banking and finance. And at that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Senator Tim Scott.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you. Let me first say, as we drove over here, so many of us noticed all the law enforcement officers with us today, in uniform and out of uniform. One of the hardest jobs in the country has to be a member of the law enforcement community. On behalf of all of us, we say to all of you, thank you for your service to our city, to our state. Thank you all. To our veterans who have served us so valiantly for so many years, we have been blessed as a nation by men and women who have put on the uniform, not for your own security, not for your own safety, but for the safety of generations of Americans that you would never meet. Thank you for making the sacrifice, having the dedication to make sure that America remains the greatest nation on God's green earth. And to all of our active duty members, service members, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Army, Coast Guard, God bless you all for your service. Thank you for your willingness to continue. There is a reason why more than 40 ships have been named for South Carolina, whether it's our places or our people. More than 40 ships have been named for our state in one form or fashion. And I thought about why. It's because so many South Carolinians have been dedicated to making sure that America remains the safest nation on earth. And as I read through the history, I came across one name that I wanted to highlight. A man named James E. Williams. We have a ship named for him. Mr. Williams is from Rock Hill, South Carolina. At age 16, in 1947, he joined the Navy. And he found himself later in South Vietnam. And under incredible fire, with overwhelming odds, James E. Williams led his men to kill the guerrillas and to destroy more than 50 of the enemy's boats. More than 50 vessels destroyed by one man with a mission, with his troops behind him. He has become the most decorated enlisted man in the history of the United States Navy, a true hero from South Carolina. and USS Charleston. What a phenomenal vessel. A littoral combat ship. This is a ship that is hard for us to digest the magnitude of this vessel. 480 plus feet long, 115 feet wide, weighing over 46,000 pounds with a top speed of over 40 knots. Now, for those of us who are not Navy people, let me say it in a way that most South Carolinians will understand, I think. Now, I'm a Carolina Gamecocks fan. And I know there are probably some Clemson Tigers out there, and I apologize. But let me say it in a way that we all understand. The national championship, Clemson Tigers, has a defensive lineman, a guy named Dexter Lawrence, who's 6'4", weighs 350 pounds. It's like having a Dexter Lawrence at 350 running a 40-yard dash in 4.2 seconds. And at the same time, benching 1,000 pounds and being the most lethal weapon on a football field. When you add the USS Charleston, as one of the weapons, one of the most lethal, agile weapons in our Navy, you have just added a true freak of nature to the United States Navy. And we must have it because the USS Charleston has the ability to tackle asymmetrical threats like mines and quiet diesel submarines, and at the same time, fast surface ships. We have been blessed to have our Charleston defending this nation. God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Secretary Spencer, I would be honored if you would now place Charleston in commission, sir.
On behalf of the President of the United States, I hereby place the United States ship Charleston in commission. May God bless those who guide this warship and all those who sail upon her.
Thank you, Secretary Spencer. Executive Officer, hoist the colors and the commission pennant.
Aye, aye, Captain. Ship's company, Gallatin, hut! Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. I direct your attention to the ship's mast, forecastle, and fantail as we hoist the colors and commission and pennant. Quartermaster, hoist the colors and commission pennant.
Aye, aye, sir.
Captain, the colors and commission pennant are flying proudly over United States ship Charleston.
Very well.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
I will now read my orders from Commander, Naval Military Personnel Command 2, Commander Christopher Brusca, United States Navy. Subject, Bupper's Order number 2167 of 3 June 2018, when directed by Reporting Senior, detached from present duty, and report to Pre-Commissioning Unit Charleston as Commanding Officer. Upon commissioning of USS Charleston, report for duty as Commanding Officer. Admiral Fogo, United States ship Charleston is in commission, and I am in command.
Very well, Skipper. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Good job. Thank you, sir. Executive officer, set the watch.
Aye, aye, sir. Officer of the deck, set the first watch.
Aye, sir.
The officer of the deck is the commanding officer's direct representative, and while on watch, it was responsible for the safe operation of the ship and crew. The long glass is the traditional symbol of an officer of the deck's authority in a ship of the line. We are pleased to have Charleston's former mayor, the Honorable Joseph P. Riley, Jr., in attendance. Mayor Riley served the fine people of Charleston for 40 years. He will pass the long glass to our first officer of the deck, Ensign Adrian Reyes from San Diego, California. The petty officer of the watch is Charleston's Sailor of the Year, Petty Officer Second Class Charmaine Threadgill from Olongapo City, the Philippines. The Messenger of the Watch is Charleston's Junior Sailor of the Year, Seaman Jasmine Munoz from Henderson, Nevada. And the bosun mate of the watch is Petty Officer First Class Cordero Sims from Atlanta, Georgia.
Set the watch. On deck, Section 1.
Sir, the watch is set.
Very well. Captain, the watch is set.
Very well. We are delighted to have our sponsor, Mrs. Charlotte Riley, here with us today. Charlotte christened the ship in Mobile, Alabama in August 2017. Charlotte, I would be honored if you would join me and give the order to man our ship and bring her to life.
Officers and crew of the USS Charleston, man our ship and bring her to life.
and gentlemen, the crew of United States Ship Charleston salutes you. We are proud and honored to serve in the Navy the nation needs. Charleston, ready? 2. Will the guests please be seated? Captain, United States Ship Charleston is manned and ready.
Very well. Commodore McGonigal, USS Charleston is manned and ready and reports for duty. Secretary Spencer, request permission to break your flag, sir. Executive Officer, break the flag of the Secretary of the Navy.
Aye, aye, sir. Quartermaster, break the flag of the Secretary of the Navy.
Aye, aye, sir.
Captain, the flag of the Secretary of the Navy is flying proudly over USS Charleston.
Very well.
Ladies and gentlemen, Commander Christopher Brusca, United States Navy. Commanding Officer, USS Charleston.
Ship's Company, parade, rest. Senator Scott, Representative Cunningham, Secretary Spencer, Secretary Ball, Admiral Fogo, honored platform guests, distinguished visitors, Charlotte, our outstanding sponsor, Mayor Tecklenburg, the city of Charleston, where are you at? I gotta tell you really quick, Mayor, that you gave me a key to the city the other night, and I didn't need it because all the doors have always been open for my crew, and I thank you. I also want to say something really quick about the weather because we were a little worried here at the beginning of the week that it might rain, and it's fluctuated from like 60% to 20% to what it is today. But I really wasn't worried because, you see, I spent most of my career in San Diego, California, where it's sunny all the time, and I can assure you that the weather is overrated. Because what makes a city is the people who live in it. And by far, Charleston is one of the greatest places that I've ever been. So thank you. I'd like to recognize a few folks today. First, I want to start with the build yard, the folks at Austell. I know we have some of them here who built this ship, who built this outstanding vessel. I'd like to say, if you're here, I'd like you to stand really quick so we can recognize you and give you a round of applause. And for all of you that are watching, that are back in Mobile, Alabama, keep doing what you're doing because you're doing it very efficiently, and these ships are outstanding. I can't control the seas, and I can't control the fog, which I had to deal with both sailing up here. But I can tell you that I had no problems with my engines. They were online, all 4, all 3 generators, and I've got a pretty tight engineering plant, so thank you very much. The commissioning support team. So those 3, and there are many more standing in the back, Dave and Debbie and Alicia, raise your hand back there. Don't be shy. These folks, they fly all around the country. They do every single ship's christening. They do every single ship's commissioning. I don't know how they have any time to themselves, but thank you very much for all your hard work. To the Charleston Navy League, who is our commissioning committee, headed by Pat Keveling. Stand up, Pat. Thank you very much. This week, while it was a whirlwind of events, I never was late to anything, and a lot of that is because of Pat shuffling me around and making sure I didn't miss anything. I want to thank the mayor who invited me to the city council meeting the other night. And I can tell you that I know there's some councilmen here and maybe the councilwoman as well. But I can tell you that I was very humbled by what I saw. Because it wasn't just the proclamation that they gave me, making this USS Charleston week. We stayed and we listened and we watched. And I saw, while the council members looked like they wanted to vote one way, it was for a zoning issue or something. And then there were some members of the city who came up and stood up and they said, hold on, I don't think we want to do this, and here's why. And they changed the mind of some of the council members, and they listened. And they debated it back and forth, and it was civilized, and it was gracious. And I just can't help but say, it would be nice if some of the federal government did the exact same thing as the local government. You've heard a lot about the ship already today from the previous speakers, but I want to tell you a bit about my crew, the crew that you see manning the rails today. So 2 years ago, our first sailor, Fire Controlman First Class, Antoinette Dews, and if you're there, go ahead and raise your hand. She reported for duty. Over 2 years ago, she was our first. And over the next several months, pre-commissioning of the pre-commissioning building in Naval Station San Diego came to life as our ranks slowly grew and my crew began to take shape. It didn't take long to know that there was something special. They had an infectious positivity that seemed to never end. As our command programs went through their first administrative inspections, we did very well. And some might think I overemphasized those minor successes at the time. They might have been perceived as minor successes. Taking advantage possibly of some easy wins. But you see, I believe that every great program, every great project, every great inspection is built on the foundation of that great admin. The binder that they put all that material for that inspection in, if that binder is organized with a clear table of contents, an honest self-assessment is conducted, with a plan to correct those discrepancies, the program will succeed because you built the solid foundation for that program. Charleston has excelled in every inspection and every assessment to date. Before being able to move aboard our ship, we had to prove some things first. We had to demonstrate an ability to conduct damage control, to fight off potential terrorist attacks from the pier or the water side of the ship, had an ability to apply basic first aid in case we had injuries on board, and life-saving skills. We trained in the evenings because our hard workers at Alsto, they worked during the day to build our ship, and we couldn't interfere with them. So we went in the evenings after our day of work, and we trained at night in the evenings, sometimes till 2200 or 10 p.m. But the crew never seemed to lose that infectious positivity. I'll never forget one evening after a long day of drills, the assessment team walked out after telling the crew that they had received a passing score in all of their scenarios. An average crew would have cheered, been happy, and ready to get on with some well-deserved rest, but not Charleston. When they learned one fire drill only barely passed with a passing score, the crew, not me, not the XO, not the command master chief, the crew told the assessors they could do better and demanded to do it again. So I am a proud captain. Upon moving aboard, we had to demonstrate our ability to run our engineering plant without supervision. After a grueling engineering light-off assessment, the senior assessor told me Charleston was the best LCS he had ever seen. Before sailing our ship to sea unassisted, we had to prove to my boss, Commodore McGonigal, that we could safely navigate through the narrow channel of Mobile, and it is pretty narrow. We succeeded. They all went home, and Charleston was ours. What makes my crew so great beyond inspections, though, they are incredibly diverse and educated. My chief engineer is Indian. My main propulsion assistant is from Haiti. He has a PhD. My chief quartermaster, you saw up there, hoisting the flags, from Columbia, master's degree from Harvard. 3 sailors in my crew are from China. We commissioned our bosun mate chief yesterday. He's from Peru. He's now a warrant officer. I have sailors, hey, they deserve it. I have sailors from the Philippines, Costa Rica, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and many more. My command master chief, she was born in Jamaica, lived there till she was 12. Before moving to Boston. Boston! Now imagine that climate change. I'm extremely excited that Charleston will be making a stop in Jamaica on our way home. So if the media wants a great story, this is it. That girl from Jamaica is going home. She's going home as a command master chief of a United States warship. Stand up. All right, now, if I got emotional, my wife gets a $100 shopping spree over at Hobby Lobby, so it can't happen. All right. I point out all this diversity to you because it's what makes us special. Diversity does make us special, but our solidarity under this flag that you see waving above me, that makes us powerful. So I am a proud captain. See, who's over there on the end? ET2 Huey. Come on up here, shipmate. Now I'm going to do something a little semi-unscripted and probably against protocol for these events, but I'm the captain and I get to do these things. Come on up here, shipmate. Now, he just got a new knee not too long ago, so I don't want him to hurt himself. Come on up here. You stand right here, right? Face that. You have any idea why you're over here? He sure does not. So my crew knows that, and I've said this many times, that one of the greatest privileges I have as a commanding officer is the authority to meritoriously advance a sailor who has consistently demonstrated superior performance. And it is also well known by my crew that 2 of my favorite naval ceremonies are commissionings and promotions. This is a very special day because today you're going to get to see both. Charleston, attention to meritorious advancement.
From Commanding Officer, United States Ship Charleston, to Electronics Technician, 2nd Class, Surface Warfare, Jeremiah Huey. You are hereby meritoriously advanced to 1st Class Petty Officer, effective immediately.
Congratulations. You can just have a seat right there in that chair, okay? I'm glad he just didn't faint. That would have been a little embarrassing. My closing remarks are to those who might wish to do us harm. If you ever see number 18 coming over the horizon, you would be wise to reconsider should you be contemplating hostile action. You might feel you have us outgunned, but if you intentions are hostile, understand this. I will bring up all 4 main engines online. I will come to full power. I will point the bow straight at you and steam full speed ahead. And that gun will be blazing, and my eventual missiles will be launching. Charleston will not turn and run. We will not run, because while we breathe, we fight.
Will the guests please remain standing for the benediction offered by Chaplain Shields.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, you graciously give us all things to support this body and life as a gift of your heavenly, divine, fatherly goodness and mercy without any merit or worthiness in us. Today we commend USS Charleston, her captain, officers, and crew, and their loyal and dedicated families into your constant care and keeping, as well as the thousands of future sailors who will run her engines, cook her meals, fix her machines, hoist her flags, and navigate her upon the oceans and seas with power and resolve. Wherever USS Charleston is at sea in the world, to stand at the gates of freedom, to defend freedom and democracy around the world, even at the uttermost parts of the sea. We pray that your hand would guide and shield her, that she may remain respected, an adversary in conflict, an effective deterrent to war, a welcome sight in every port, and a beacon of hope to those in need of compassion and assistance, to defend and protect life and promote lasting peace. Finally, gracious Lord, keep our nation under your care. Bless our President and Commander-in-Chief and all branches of government, that we may be a people at peace among ourselves and a blessing to other nations of the earth. And grant that we who come from many nations may be united in valuing and defending what makes our country great, our heritage of life and liberty in pursuit of happiness. All gifts from you, our founding fathers, and all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to defend freedom and democracy around the world. Uphold our military in defending and protecting life through the pursuit of peace and power, and grant that the citizens of our great republic would continue to draw our constant strength, wisdom, and hope from you, whose perfect love is peace, and whose peace is our power. In Jesus' strong and saving name we pray. Amen.